Let me pose a question. If everyone on Earth is a genuinely terrible person, is anybody really? That's that's kind of the unspoken premise of Borderlands. Borderlands has been a very hot topic item in kind of modern day media ever since 2019 at least, because especially with the release of the newest movie, a lot of people have considered this series to have drastically fallen off. I remember when Borderlands 3 came out in 2019, everyone was like, "Oh, the writing in this game is terrible now." And then New Tales of the Borderlands came out. I'll spare you what I saw people say about that. Um, and then the movie came out, and everyone was like, "Man, Borderlands sucks now." I remember when the series was amazing, and I told myself I wasn't going to watch the Borderlands movie until I played the first two games, because that seems to be pretty much what the movie is kind of based on. And, well, I finally finished the first game. I have some thoughts. First and foremost, the story. Um, I'm gonna say this in the only nice way I know how. Uh, it's dog shit. Uh, Unequivocally, it is bad. It is a bad story. I mean, granted, it's not the worst thing I've ever heard, but like, it's not good. So the entire premise is there's four characters. There's Roland, Mordecai, Brick, and Lilith. And all four of them are vault hunters. There is this vault somewhere on the planet Pandora, and it is said to hold riches beyond any human, alien, anything's wildest dream. But no one has been able to find it, and heck, no one really even knows if it even exists. But you play as vault hunters, and that is literally your entire life's purpose, is to find the vault. That's the entire story. And that premise isn't bad in of itself. It's just the fact that the game proceeds to not really expand upon it at any point. Like, you will meet other characters. You will go to different locations. Everyone's goal in this game, every major force in this game, their goal is to find the vault. But at no point does it tell you why. Even the main villains, it never tells you why they want to find the vault. And I get it. They want the money inside, or whatever is supposed to be inside. Like, I get that. But, like, why do they want it? Why do they want the money? I'm not asking for, like, the greatest written story in the world. I'm asking for, like, why should I care about any of these characters? Like, player character excluded, because it's really one of those characters that's like, oh, it's your portal through. Like, none of the other characters, like, I don't know their motives. Like, why? Like, half of them I barely know why they're helping. Some of them you do, and you get it, and there's other things I'll say about the characters in a minute, but, like, yeah, like, the whole story is just, it's not great. There's another aspect of the story we'll get to, the ending. I'll get to that in a minute, because normally I don't like to spoil the games I review, but the ending in this case does need to be talked about. I'll say spoiler warning before I talk about that, though. Not that it really matters, if I'm going to be honest. Anyway, I guess at this point, jumping in to talk about the characters is probably the next logical step. Some of them I like. Scooter was funny. Tannis was funny. Claptrap. Oh, God above. Oh, my precious baby boy Claptrap. Oh my gosh. So, going into this, I did not know that Claptrap was an army of little characters. I guess in later games they really just only used the one, maybe, I don't know. But it's Claptrap. If you know Borderlands, you know who Claptrap is. Best character in the game, no question. Um, but anyway, we all know Claptrap. What about the other characters? When they speak, I like them. When they're actually voice acted characters, I like them. But that's kind of the issue. A lot of this game, a lot of this game's characters and story. Oh, God, excuse me. A lot of this game's characters and story are told through the beginning mission and in mission dialogue written through text on your like mission boards. So you don't get to hear a lot of them talk. So it's just text on a screen. Maybe it's just me. Maybe this is just me. I found that made a lot of characters very just like boring. I did not care about them probably as nearly as much as I should have. And yeah, most of the ones that like aren't, if they're important, they'll talk. If they're not crazy important in the long run, they probably won't. But still, I don't know. I mean, granted, it feels like a dumb thing to complain about because you think about Zelda and none of those characters talk. And I care about those characters infinitely more than anybody in this game, but I don't know. When it's a comedy-based game like this, which I didn't even mention the fact that it's a comedy-based game, it it matters for them to be funny. Which yeah, I guess I completely glossed over that fact. This game is a dark comedy. And I would say, for the most part, it does a fine job. It does a fine job. But keep in mind, when I went into this, all I heard before playing Borderlands was like, man, I remember when Borderlands was so funny. The comedy was amazing. The writing was amazing. Guys, I'm going to be frank with you here. Because I know some things about Borderlands 2. I don't think Borderlands was this hysterically funny series. I think Handsome Jack was just insanely well written. Which Handsome Jack we'll get to when I cover Borderlands 2. I'm not going to go over him right now. I'm just saying, hot take, I think Handsome Jack kind of carried the series, but I haven't played Borderlands 2. I haven't played 2, and I hear that game greatly improves on this one. So you know what? Hey, this is Borderlands 1 time to shine. Anyway, moving on from the story and the characters, let's talk about the gameplay, which this I can say, oh my gosh, it's so good. If you are, well, not this specific version because the online is shut down, but I think they re-release Borderlands 1? I know it wasn't in the Handsome collection, but I think they did re-release Borderlands 1 about 4 or 5 years ago. If it is. So this game, I don't know if it was the first one, but it was one of the first looter shooters. It combined first-person shooter gameplay with elements of action RPGs to where you kill an enemy, especially killing a big enemy, they are dropping a lot of ammo, a lot of money, and guns. More enough guns to give a redneck a wet dream. Oh, if you like guns, you will love Borderlands. ARs, submachine guns, snipers, revolvers, rocket launchers. There is a gun for any playstyle, almost any playstyle. I'm sure there's some that I don't know of. Honestly, when it comes to that, my only complaint is there's only one kind of grenade. I would have loved to see like sticky grenade. Well, I'm okay. There's one type of grenade with different modifiers for the grenade. That is true. But Guns at the start of the show. And they feel good. The gunplay in this game feels incredible. Performance-wise, I don't think it ran well. There were times whenever I was like on top of an enemy and I one-tapped headshot it with a shotgun, the entire game would freeze up for like a second or two. But at no point did the game crash, and it did freeze a handful of times, but not like for long, 1 or 2 seconds. It's weird. It ran well and it didn't run well. So, it's definitely more than playable. I'm just saying you're not gonna have a seamless, smooth experience. Now, granted, keep in mind everything I'm talking about here is for the Xbox 360 version. I cannot speak for any other later ports of this game. Yeah. I should add, because I don't know if anybody cares, but I do want to say this. Uh, the guns I used for this game, because I basically had a different gun for each third of the game. For the first third, I pretty much used the DL10 stabilized revolver. For the second third, I used Whiting's elephant gun. I think that's how you say that. And for the third, I used two guns. I used two guns primarily: the HX 500 Steel Thumper and the LB30 Caustic Wrath. That was for the Borderlands nerds. I'll say though, I'll segue into this though. The gunplay is good. I do have some issues with the gameplay though. Not the gameplay itself, but certain things. First and foremost, there is a chunk of the game early on where a lot of the enemies feel like bullet sponges. Uh, a lot of them. Now, towards the second third of the game, that does mellow out a bit once you start getting better guns. But for a while, at the beginning, it does drag a bit because a lot of the enemies do feel like bullet sponges. Now, I could have done a couple of missions too early. That is more than possible, but that was still my experience. Another thing that happened in the game, and this in particular is a very major issue I have. Now, keep in mind, I am not amazing at first-person shooters. You won't see my COD highlights up on the G hole or whatever. And I'm also playing this on console, so already I'm at a disadvantage. But I swear, snipers in particular, half of the bullets went through the enemies. And I don't mean like in the damn that went through him. No, I mean like they Harry Houdini that shit right through their body. Headshots with snipers never felt like they connected. And granted, that could be my fault, and it probably is. But I swear, I was shooting shots that I swear on my life should have hit their target, and they didn't. Any other gun, it worked fine. But snipers, I don't know. I don't know. It's just my experience. Something else I will say about the game is, so there's side quests to do, a lot of side quests, and I did the majority of them. But at first, I did the majority of them not because I had a good time with them. I did, and by the end, I was doing them because I was having a good time. But initially, I did it because that like it feels like you're required to do them. Because if you're just doing mainline story content, you're gonna be out leveled very quickly. Enemies gonna start absolutely wailing on you. So you do need to do the side quests. It's borderline required. And I didn't mind that because I had a good time, but I guess that could rub some people the wrong way. I don't know. I didn't mind it. Um, all right, I'm gonna talk about the art style, and then we'll get into the final ending talking thing. All right. Um, if you know Borderlands, you already know what I'm gonna say about the art style. Fantastic. So one of Borderlands' big claims to fame was the entire game was cel shaded, and for whenever this game came out, like 2008, 9, something like that, it looks amazing. It looks unique. It looks different. Nothing looked like this game. It was like you were playing a comic book almost, but not to the same degree something like 13 on the PS2 did. Um, but kind of. Now, granted, I didn't think it was all that crazy, but that could also be because that cel shaded ish style. I don't know why this popped in my head looking at this dude in the box art. Why the fuck does he look like a guy from Arcane? Like, if you animated him right, his model would fit perfect into Arcane. I might get crucified for saying that, but I don't know. That popped in my head. Uh, oh yeah. Also this game was published by 2K, the the freaking sports games guys. Also, Bioshock was published by them too. Anyway, off topic. Okay, art style is fantastic. I think it still holds up great to this day. It's great. Now, on to the ending. So yes, spoilers for the ending to this game. If you give a crap, I don't know. I'm not putting a timestamp. I'm too lazy to do that. G- game is good. Uh, game is good. You don't get to hear the rating, but the game is good. Anyway, hey, we're gonna move on from there. Ending. Um, fuck me. It is one of the worst endings probably in gaming. And that's saying something. Maybe that's an over dramatic statement, but maybe. So basically, the ending of this game is the main villain, Commander Steel, she steals the key to the vault that you've built. And keep in mind, by the way, this villain has shown up twice, I think, at this point, and not even physically. You actually do not see her physically until the last little bit before the final boss. All you see her before this is through like speech, but like radio transmissions. So yeah, she steals the key. You fight through this like snowy or maybe salt because it is in the salt flats, but you're also on a mountain, so I don't know if it's snow or salt. Whatever. You fight up this mountaintop, past her guards and the vault's guardians, I guess. You get to the top of the mountain and the vault. She plugs the key into the vault and immediately gets one tapped by this giant, hulking, Lovecraftian beast that looks like a cross between that dragon in Dark Souls with a gaping mouth and the worst hentai creature you could imagine. It's called the Destroyer, and I knew the boss was infamously bad going into it. It is so bad. When I tell you all that boss does is exist to be a bullet sponge. Like, it's challenging to stay alive because it does throw a lot of like missile-ish stuff at you. But dog, if you had 4 people, literally all you would need to do is just keep shooting. It's one massive weak point, by the way. Brother, this thing did Skyward Sword weak points like years before Skyward Sword did them. It is ridiculous. It is just one big blue eye that you would think it would know to close. It doesn't. So you just keep firing at the thing for like 10 plus minutes, and finally it dies. And that's what was in the vault. No treasure, none of that. Just a giant Lovecraftian hellspawn that you apparently kill. And yeah, that could have been cool. But even if it was cool, that boss fight would ruin it. Oh, and I didn't even mention this when talking about the story. When you get off the bus, which you're on at the beginning of the game, you're met with like a borderline G-Man from Half-Life situation where there's the guardian angel who speaks to you. And then yeah, it's revealed that she's like, I don't know, some girl up in a satellite. I'm gonna be honest, that wasn't really even made clear at. Hold on, actually. Okay, I googled who she was. I'm not gonna tell you. I think I spoiled part of Borderlands 2 for myself, but yeah, that's the ending. That is the ending to the game. And then there's a little bit of post-credit stuff where you can just finish up the last few side quests. But yeah, I am so glad the gameplay is as good as it is because that is just that ending felt like the manifestation of getting cucked. So, let me double check my notes. All right, the only other thing I wrote apparently was balls, so we're gonna wrap this up. What after all I've said, what would I give Borderlands? It's a weird thing to rate because you got to look at two things: genuinely awful story with a even worse ending and final boss, phenomenally amazing gameplay and gunplay, and you can play the entire thing online with 3 other people or one other person if you want to play split screen. So that's cool. Now, given all of this, I'm giving the game a 7. Some people might not agree with that, and that's fine. If the story if the story had been a little bit better, like final boss fight removed entirely, if the journey, like story wise had been a little bit better, I would have liked this more. If you're playing this online with other people, it would be a blast. I know it would. But given all this, I'm giving the game a 7 out of 10. It's good. Definitely play it if you like Borderlands, or if you like looter shooters, or if you like first person shooters entirely. Play the game. It's fun. I just wish it could have been just a little bit better story-wise. But yeah, 7 out of 10. That's about all I got to say. Have a good day.